Devices start discovery of the destination by sending a broadcast frame in the local network. This works well in a simple topology with one switch. But as the network adds switches for redundancy, it can cause broadcast storm. This is where STP comes in to prevent loops by disabling one of the ports and enabling it based on the topology change. In this video, we will focus on the core STP operation, which are root bridge election and identifying blocking ports. By the end of this video, you will be able to understand STP root bridge election and STP process to identify blocking ports. So let's dive in. Almost all trees start from the roots, and with spanning tree, everything will start from the root bridge. A root bridge is considered as the central point of the network. It acts as the reference for all path calculations to eliminate layer 2 loops. Root bridge is elected in the topology using the bridge ID of the switch. The switch with lowest bridge ID will be the root bridge. Bridge ID is composed of bridge priority and MAC address of the switch. Bridge priority has a default value set at 32768 plus VLAN ID. And in this scenario, we'll use VLAN 1, making the bridge priority 32769. MAC address is burned in during the manufacturing of a switch. These values are passed on inside the bridge protocol data unit when switches are inserted in the topology. Lowest bridge priority is checked first, but if bridge priorities are tied, election will be based on the MAC address. In this topology, all switches have the same bridge priority, but switch 2 has the lowest MAC address, so it will be the root bridge. After root bridge is elected, all of its ports will be designated ports and in forwarding state. After that, each non-root switch selects one root port through the following. Lowest root path cost. Costs are assigned based on the bandwidth of the port, and here are the default values. In this case, ports directly connected to the root bridge have lower costs, making them the root ports. If costs are the same, the tiebreaker will be the port facing the switch with lowest neighbor bridge ID. If neighbor bridge IDs are the same, it will choose the port facing the switch with lowest neighbor port priority. And if all else are tied, the port with the lowest physical port number is selected. After root port is identified, remaining links will identify a designated port. Take note that each link can only have one designated port. So in this case, the link between switch 1 and switch 3 needs to have one designated port. It's chosen in this manner. First is checking for the port with lowest root path cost. But in this case, both ports have the same root path cost. So we'll go to the tiebreaker, which is the switch with the lowest bridge ID. And that is switch 1, and port G02 will become the designated port. If multiple ports are connected to the same switch, it will be the port facing the switch with the lowest neighbor port priority. If all else are tied, the port with the lowest physical port number is selected. All other ports will become non-designated ports, which are in blocking state. And that's it for spanning tree protocol operation. STP will always be there to prevent loops in layer 2 networks. But did you know port channel can work with STP so you can utilize all the links in your network? If you want to learn more about port channel, check out this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.